I see the amount of participants going up. So first of all, welcome to this webinar. We'll give it a couple minutes for everyone to basically attend and get ready for everything that this webinar is going to hold. And we'll start in roughly a couple minutes, so stay tuned. Maybe for those that are already here, you might be missing a face because right here on the screen, you can basically see that in this webinar, supposedly we were going to have Antonio Nunes, aka our founder, InstaLeap's founder, as well as Pedro Santos. Well, that is a face that you might remember and might recognize because he is in this call after all. So basically, to fill everyone in, unfortunately, Antonio had an emergency. He's not going to be able to make it. I will step in as a replacement and basically interview Pedro because this session is completely dedicated to learning everything about Sonae MC, aka the Continente supermarket chain. So thankfully, we still have our main guest for today, Pedro Santos. By the way, you're seeing a third person in this call. The third person is at this point simply the InstaLeap logo, but there's a person behind that logo, and that person's name is Maria. Maria will basically function as the administrator for today, and she'll take care of all of the questions that you might have and that you want to ask through the chat. If you have questions, please do so. We'd be honored and we'd be happy to answer them. In case it's a super special question or a question that of which we think that it should be covered live here on the virtual stage, then we'll definitely do so, and Maria will give us a hint. Otherwise, Maria will try to answer it as well as possible herself through the chat. By now, we're 3 minutes in, so I think we should just get started. I hope everyone is in agreement with me. So I'll go ahead and click present myself. So once more, for people that were potentially just a second late, on the screen here, you can see what the topic is. The topic is how Continente built Portugal's largest grocery e-commerce. It's going to take place on November 23. All of that is happening. The only difference is that Antonio Nunes isn't going to be able to make it simply because he had an emergency. And I'll step in as his replacement, basically functioning as the interviewer of our main guest, Pedro Santos, which is the head of e-commerce at Sonae MC. So on the agenda today, we simply have an introduction, which is basically what we just did. We have a little bit of information about InstaLeap. Then we have a lot more information, thankfully, about Continente. And then last but not least, we have the Q&A. And long story short, this webinar is really about the Q&A. So everyone can learn as much as possible about Continente's journey, basically, that has been taking place for quite a while. Pedro has been around there for a very, very long time, so he'll be able to take everyone along. in his journey over there and explain why things are the way they are today, what has gone wrong along the way, and obviously also which successes they have been able to celebrate. So starting off with a little introduction. First of all, this is another picture of Pedro, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to recognize his face. So I just said it already. He's been there for, well, a lifetime. It isn't, but it's definitely a very long time. 14 and a half years by now. And during his tenure there, he's held several different functions, basically starting out as e-commerce operations, and from there on out, basically branching out to a logistics-oriented role, an IT-oriented role, and basically from there growing into the role that he currently holds, which is the head of e-commerce role. So once more, be welcome, Pedro, and I hope you're going to enjoy the session as much as I. So then about InstaLeap, I'll keep this crisp and clear, just because we're moving into new territories. Like, we are one of the biggest players in Spanish LATAM in Brazil. We have a couple of customers in Portugal, but most of our viewers today are from markets that we are just entering. Think of markets such as Romania, Poland, Africa, and basically everything in between. So just for these, a quick high-level overview of what it is that we do. There's a lot on the screen, so I'll try to add as much additional value as possible, simply not to repeat myself all the time. Long story short, we are really a fulfillment and delivery party. That's our competitive edge, and that's where we help our customers be really, really successful. At this point, we are active in 16 countries, and we work with over 50 leading retailers. And at this point in time, we have over 40 million deliveries executed. Some of our big customers include H-E-B, Walmart, and obviously also Sonae MC. Otherwise, Pedro wouldn't have been here today. We have huge plans, which we think we can also live up to, because one of the important things about us to mention here is that we have years of experience basically operating our own e-commerce and our own supermarkets, because we were basically a company that is very comparable to, for instance, in Latin America, Rappi, or in the south of Europe, Glovo, or maybe in the US or other places around the world, Uber Eats, but then the grocery-oriented branch. That's what we did for years, and we basically shifted our business model simply because there was so much demand for the solution that we had built internally, which was the tech solution that was really focused on the last mile. And what I mean with the last mile is the fulfillment and delivery aspect. So the picking, the packing, and the making sure that everyone can live up to their delivery promise, whether that is 30 minutes, whether that is 24 hours, or whether that is 2 days later. That really doesn't matter. We simply make sure that you are going to be able to live up to it, and that you are going to be able to do so in a very efficient and profitable manner. So this basically just adds some some truth to everything that I just explained. Some facts here is that we reduce picking times by generally 66%, or that's the average, so to say. We are able to meet 95% of on-time deliveries, and we are typically also able to accommodate for a 30% delivery cost reduction, which, as every e-commerce manager knows, is highly necessary at this point in time, since the margins have been under pressure for quite a while, with various parties basically eating into the margins of those that deliver the groceries to supermarkets. And we are, at the end of the day, making sure that all of this remains a profitable action. So I already touched upon it just a little bit. We come from a background in which we operated our own eGrocery store. And what we learned out there is that every supermarket at the end of the day runs their business in a different way, and that is perfectly fine. Where we come in from our experience working with all these supermarkets, just trying to help them do it in the best way possible. And we have guidelines for that, and we can consult there simply because we have worked with so many and have analyzed so much data and have really, developed a playbook, so to say, in order to do it best. But at the end of the day, there's no one size fits all, and all of the features and benefits that come with our platform are basically set up in a way that suits your business model. To become a little bit more granular and to really understand, like, okay, what does it come with? At the end of the day, there's things that are very interesting for the end customer. There's things for the couriers, there's things for the pickers, and then there's also things for the manager that are simply very, very relevant. One of the things that is obviously very interesting for the end customer is the live status widget, because at the end of the day, as a consumer, I simply want to see, where's my order? Is it going to be on time? And if anything goes wrong, I want to be able to communicate with the courier in order to fix it as soon as possible. So that's one side of the spectrum. Other sides of the spectrum are the picker app, which will include a bunch of different features such as zone picking and more good stuff there, simply to expedite this whole picking process so we can do it as efficient as possible. A delivery app, and last but not least, there's the Live Ops app, which I always think is essential, because as a manager, I want to be able to see at a glance what it is really that is going well, but also what is about to go wrong, so I can fix it before it becomes a problem. Yet again, with one thing in mind, living up to our delivery promise and making sure the deliveries will happen on time and in full. That was almost everything on InstaLeap. I really want to stay away from making this a pitch. At the end of the day, this whole session is dedicated towards learning. So I'll end things up here. We have a bring your own software mentality. So basically what that means is whatever you have, whether it's your own e-commerce, whether it's your own mobile app, whether you rely on demand generation platforms such as Glovo, Uber Eats, or whatever it might be, please continue to do so. We'll plug it all into our platform and make sure that everything goes to plan, and that you can utilize us in a sense that you start doing the back end side of things much better than you were ever able to do without the technology that we provide, and you can start cutting costs there in the back end and start living up to your delivery promise. So that on InstaLeap, I'll now give the floor to our guest, Pedro Santos. So I'll stop sharing, and he will basically fill us in on the basics with regards to Continente.
So, hello, Jasper. Thank you very much for having me. And I would start by presenting what Sonae is. We're a diverse and global group managing a diverse portfolio, going from Sonae MC, food and grocery and near grocery retail, Vorten, which is electronics and consumer appliances, financial services, fashion, investment management, Sonae Sierra, shopping malls, North Telecom, and ISRG, which is sports retail. And Sonae also manages this diverse portfolio. And going to Sonae MC, Sonae MC is the clear retail leader in Portugal. We're #1 in grocery retail, in #1 in grocery e-commerce, healthy nutrition, parapharmacies, and we operate at an over 5 billion euros, and also an omni-channel diverse portfolio. We have supermarkets, hypermarkets, proximity and convenience e-commerce, franchise, and of course other adjacent formats such as parapharmacies, coffee shops, stationery, and so on, that complete this portfolio that consists of a very strong value proposition for our customers. And starting with e-commerce and Continente Online, we're the clear #1 grocery and I would say near grocery retailer in Portugal, omni-channel and on e-commerce. And we do this by offering, of course, an online store, and we serve the more than 2/3 of Portuguese population with a full value proposition. By full value proposition, I'm mentioning and I'm referring to frozen, chilled, and dry goods. So it's of course a 24/7 online store, and we deliver from 7 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. 7 days a week, and we also have a wide range of click and collect locations, which are mainly our stores, in which customers can collect their orders also 7 days a week from 8 to almost midnight. And we are also present in some instant delivery marketplaces. We are partnering with Glovo, with Uber Eats, with Bolt Food, with Hyper 360, a national player. And this is mainly done so that we can serve all the shopping missions of our customers. And we operate these partnerships from 120 Continente stores, and we also operate on other Sonae MC stores like the parapharmacies, which are also present in all of these instant or on-demand delivery marketplaces. We offer a very wide assortment on the e-commerce based value proposition, more than 30,000 SKUs, and more than 3, which account more or less 10% of the global range on this instant delivery and these late urgency shopping missions. In fact, we have also a diversified fulfillment strategy, and we operate several models to serve our customers. What we call the distributed picking for these late urgency shopping missions, this unplanned shopping. But we also have in-store picking, back-store picking, which is an hybrid between a store and a dark store. We have a dark store. We pick mostly non-food items, also some dry goods on a warehouse, a dedicated warehouse, and of course we have drop shipping. But by using this combined and mixing and matching all these fulfillment strategies, we have been able to achieve an higher and higher turnover. We have been growing, of course, accelerating after the pandemic outbreak, but also keeping this acceleration. And we're also achieving higher and higher net promoter score levels, which gives us the confidence that the feedback we get from our customers is encouraging which will be the next steps. So it's a pleasure speaking to you and to the audience, of course. And thank you very much for your attention. And we could move on to the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you very much for explaining all of that, Pedro. I guess we're good to go for the Q&A. So if anyone has more questions, just to recap them once more, please drop them into the chat so we can cover them live, and Maria can answer them for you in the chat itself. Sections that I want to go through in this Q&A. The first one is starting the e-commerce operation. The second one is actually growing the e-commerce. The third, marketplaces. We have managing online success. And then last but not least, we have quick commerce competition, which is these days obviously a hot topic. Think of players such as Getir, amongst others. So I'm certain, given the amount of questions that we get related to that there's going to be a lot of people that would like to have these questions answered by Pedro. Well, first things first. Topic number one, starting the e-commerce operation. Pedro, my question for you would be, why did Continente start to begin with an e-commerce operation?
Well, that's quite interesting. We in fact, we launched the online operation back in 2001, 20 years ago, a long time ago, when we thought that we did have the technological, operational, and market conditions. Obviously, we did not, but we launched back then, and it was a lot focused on delivering the full value proposition to our customers. We as leaders should deliver to our customers wherever they are and in which channels they are present in. So it's about being with our customers, with their needs all time. So that was the mood back then, and in fact it's still the mood right now, because we want to be with our customers in whichever channel they are, and have the opportunity to develop this relationship with them. So that's always the main focus.
Makes perfect sense. It's 2021, so by now it's perfectly expected by basically everyone in the whole country, I assume. But in 2001, that must have been very different. What was the initial response from the market back then?
Well, I cannot recall, and I will not be speaking in the first person, but I would say that the customer feedback was quite good. In fact, if I look at the several components of the value proposition we delivered back then, it was quite interesting, because we did have a wide assortment with a very omni-channel foundation. We did have the same prices as our local prices in stores. We did have delivery slots, same-day delivery. So the value proposition was quite compelling and quite impressive back then. So the feedback from, and going back to your question, the feedback from the customers was quite good. And of course, if I look at the figures, we did have lots of issues with stockouts, with the perfect range for the online store. What I mean by this is like selling ice. It can be a bad idea, but of course we learned a lot and learned a lot with the feedback we were getting from our customers. So I would say back then it was a success. If you look at innovation, if you look at strengthening the relationships with our customers. From a commercial standpoint, of course, there was a lot of margin to progress to these days in which e-commerce and omni-channel, it has been. It's really a very serious component of retail. So, but I would say that it was quite interesting back then.
So since it's already 20 years ago, was that a point in time in which there was no competition just yet, or did a lot of supermarkets basically already start experimenting with it back then?
Well, I cannot really recall, but I would say that other supermarkets, other retail banners also started their journey in e-commerce. Portugal is a small country with 10 million people, with less than 5 million households. So it's we compare with your reality, it's certainly quite different. But this is a country in which, if you visit modern retail, you'll find the best-in-class benchmarks for lots of things. So retail is quite innovative, and retail is, in fact, our stores, not only our store, but the stores you can find in Portugal are quite interesting. And if you compare to other European or the US, you'll find that retail is quite dynamic, and it's probably leading. So so it back then, of course, all the players they didn't want to get behind, to be lagging. So I would say that most of them invested in their or started their e-commerce journey Of course, that along the way, a lot has changed, even in the competitive landscape in Portugal, and some nowadays are more mature than others.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I believe we received a very interesting question. Rodney, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Rodney LaRue is basically asking, with everything going mobile, what's the importance of your mobile app to your operation? Would you be able to answer that, Pedro?
Yes, of course. We do have, at the moment, two mobile solutions. One is the mobile responsive website, and the other one is the app. If we put it all together, these are very, very important in when it comes to traffic and also to order placement. And I would say that happens everywhere. The traffic and the buying behavior is moving a lot to mobile because we use our smartphone for everything. So it's quite important. Of course, we have several customers, as probably all e-commerce businesses, that manage their shopping cart and do everything on a mobile device, and then check out on a laptop or on a PC. But mobile is very, very, very important. We're not mobile only. We're not even mobile first, but that's something that has been growing a lot.
Right. So would you say at this point that mobile is more important than just desktop at this point in time?
Both. If you look at e-commerce and digital at large, yes, the mobile is more important. If you look at grocery retail, with its specifics, such as large shopping baskets, a grocery e-commerce shopping basket should be around 30 to 50 SKUs, which is much different than selling consumer electronics and appliances, for instance, in which you have 1 or 2 SKUs per shopping cart. So for the order placement, the laptop is still very significantly important. But I would say for the near future, mobile should be the focus of our attention on the development of the solutions to our customers.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Were there any changes in terms of the geographic coverage after you guys first launched, or has it always been the country?
No, we launched in one of Portugal cities. It's not the first one or the second or the third one, but then we expanded to Lisbon, the capital, and to Porto, the second city, and then we have been expanding. As I was telling you, we serve the more than 2/3 of the Portuguese people with the full stack value proposition. I mean, dry, chilled, and frozen. And for the rest of the country, we serve them with only dry goods. And we have been expanding the geographical coverage of our, let's call it, full stack value proposition with all the items. Because there's not, even being a small country, there isn't room to deliver with the full value proposition, not only from an economic standpoint, but also from a service quality standpoint to deliver everywhere. So we have been expanding, and we will continue to expand as market conditions make sense, and also the service conditions make sense for all of us. What I mean for all of us is for ourselves and for our customers, of course.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for answering all of these. I hope the crowd is stoked to have them answered as well. I think it's time to move on to the next section, which will be growing the e-commerce. So my first question would be there. what were some of the important bets on your end or on Continente Sonae MC's end that led to increased order volumes at the end of the day?
There are different levers with different results. We mentioned the geographical coverage. Of course, as you expand geographically and target new markets, the available market increases. So geographical expansion for sure. Also the assortment expansion as we sell new ranges, new assortments. And we have been doing that a lot, selling new ranges of items, some even online exclusives, some products we don't sell offline, our banners don't sell offline, so that there's room for improvement in the selling proposition. And
so am I understanding you correctly that you started with a relatively small assortment and basically have expanded that over time as e-commerce became more important to the business?
Not really. We started with a wide assortment, and then we included some, let's say, online exclusives. For instance, we have very specific toys that we don't sell, for instance, Lego, for instance, that we don't sell offline. So we have the chance to present a more specific, more curated range for our customers, and those assortment opportunities, of course, also result in sales. But we also have other levers like our delivery pass, which is more than a delivery pass. You get free deliveries, but you also get, let's say, access to some campaigns before other customers, for instance. So you have other fringe benefits, and that's also a lever that brings us more, not only more customers but also more frequency, which at the end it's about scaling up sales. And of course, one thing that of course we were not the active planners of it, which is the pandemic, that as all grocery and all e-commerce players, I would say, in the world, that was a major lever for growth in the recent past.
Yeah.
So we do have some levers that we operate on our own. Some others came from the market or from the world.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for answering these. If we circle back just a little bit to the part where you addressed this path, can you explain some of the benefits that came with it? So I think I heard you saying that repeated orders went up. Are there other things that come with it, such as, for instance, the loyalty of the customer should they sign up for such a path?
You mean but with the delivery pass?
Yeah.
When we have a delivery pass, of course we get more customers because it's a very interesting value proposition. You of course get more frequency because in fact you are increasing the share of wallet, so your customers end up buying more from you. So it's of course something very, very interesting to scale up an operation. So you get more loyalty from your customers. So it's of course interesting in scaling up the business.
Yeah, I love that. Would you say there's also any downsides to launching such a program besides the additional work, obviously?
I was about to say that you have to manage it. You have to manage it actively, because otherwise you can end up sending more orders and having more deliveries made to the same customers, buying the same thing, but in more shopping occasions. So that's not where you want to be. You want, in fact, manage it so that you can, as I was saying, increase the share of wallet and develop a stronger relationship with that customer, and in a way that she or he ends up buying more from you, and having a more confident relationship in all the interactions you have. So you have to manage it. Otherwise, you'll end up with getting less delivery revenue and increasing your delivery costs, because those customers would end up buying the same, but in more shopping occasions, and that's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea, for sure. Thanks for sharing all of that. Some good nuggets here. A question from the crowd in the chat. I'm not a Portuguese or Portugal as a country expert, so I'm just going to ask it to you. The question is, as an old country like Portugal, a lot of our population is over 65 years old. You tell me what. Do you think you can target them through the e-commerce or the app? What's been your experience there with like the older generation?
Jasper, could you please say it again, because I lost you?
Okay, sure. The question is, a lot of the people in Portugal are over 65 years old. Do you think you can target them through the e-commerce or the app?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I don't even know the ratio between Portugal and other countries. So, but I would say that in Japan, e-commerce is quite impressive and quite strong. So I wouldn't be concerned on that. Nevertheless, working for older people, and aging is a major trend of the world. We're all getting older. At the beginning, you said that I'm here in e-commerce since forever. So I'm also getting older. But the thing is that you probably have to design your user experience and your user interface. And I mean both, because the user experience is not only about front end, it's also about the experience on the delivery, on collecting an order from a store. So you do have to design it for older people, and perhaps you need you need bigger pictures, for instance, so you can adapt to that. But I'm not quite sure if the ratio between Portugal and other countries in what comes to population age, if that's much different. I would say it isn't.
Okay, great. Moving on to another topic, which is marketplaces. So I think a good entry point is, how do marketplaces overall, think Glovo, think Uber Eats, you touched upon it briefly in your intro, so you partially answered it, fit into your longer term plan?
Well, we have two kinds of strategies for marketplaces. We do sell using some marketplaces, and that's more than selling. It's a lot about learning, because we have a lot to learn from other players. I saw in the participants in this session, some of our competitors, and some of our competitors are also our friends, which is interesting. But we have a lot to learn from each other, and also from marketplaces. And we use this, like Vorten and Dot. We also use it for learning and for selling. But when it comes to the focus of your question, which is instant delivery marketplaces, more of that, I mean, Glovo and Uber Eats and so on. We started it back in 2018 it was not about the pandemic, because everybody entered those marketplaces when they didn't have the capacity to serve their customers. It was way before, because we thought, and in fact we were quite sure that we had to have a solution to cover for those late urgency shopping missions, in which you need the bananas, and you need it from the bananas for now. So we had to offer our customers some solution to provide them with this late urgency shopping missions. That's why we partnered with all, or almost all, on-demand delivery players in Portugal. So our strategy is quite clear. We want to be partnering with all the players in which we find the right conditions, because we know that different customers of our own, different continent customers, can use different platforms on demand delivery, or because one has a restaurant that customer likes more than the others, or because this platform offers flowers or parapharmacies, and this customer got used to it. We want to be quite agnostic and offer our customers the chance to, in whichever platform he or he uses, order from Continente within with a value proposition focused on instant deliveries, to complement the omni-channel propositions we provide on our own. So you can buy in store, you can buy online, you can return what you bought online in store, and then you can also use one of the available platforms to order your dinner and some bananas you need for that pie you're about to prepare. So it's about going back to the first or the second question we were discussing. It's about being with our customer in whichever channel he or she chooses.
Awesome. You really seem to like bananas. I definitely don't disagree. I'm really curious to what the crowd thinks of working with marketplaces, or just the development of marketplaces altogether. Maria, can you launch the poll? There we go. Wonderful. So for the crowd, the question is, marketplaces are a threat to supermarkets, yes or no? It's not a statement, it's a question. And what I am really looking to understand from you guys is how you see it. Is this an opportunity? Is this a threat? Is this neutral? Let us know simply by clicking whatever answer relates best to you. So back to Pedro. Pedro, you said one of the things that resonated with me, and you said, okay, we want to work with every marketplace that we see value in, or that really fits us as a business. How do you kind of determine which marketplace does and which does not?
That's a very interesting question with not a very clear answer. We look at the business always from a customer standpoint. So if we have a significant amount or proportion of our customers using one marketplace, well, we should probably try to partner with that marketplace so that we can be with our customers in which channel or marketplace they are. However, I don't know, it hasn't happened before, but we can come to the conclusion that that's not the right partner for us for some reason, which can be strategic, financial, lots of it. But if we find the perhaps somewhere in this path, we'll find some partner in which we cannot find the conditions to work. But at the moment, we look at the customers, and which marketplace those customers use and try to find conditions to serve them.
Wonderful. Awesome. So to finish off this topic on marketplaces, which I have found very interesting personally, to what extent do you think customer loyalty will become a challenge if you no longer own the relationship with the buyer?
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's probably the biggest downside of marketplaces, which is about customer ownership. And we started doing this by serving our customer. So it's even a paradox if we start by serving our customer better and then end up losing the relationship with our customer. But that's not the point. When you're using a marketplace, you know that you're buying from Continente, and in fact we have several other channels and several other means of communication to communicate with our customers, to also develop that relationship and make him sure that Continente is handling their orders for them. So it's about, they're in fact relating with the marketplace and with Continente. I didn't tell you before, but we also operate under a very strong loyalty program. Our loyalty card includes more than 85% of Portuguese households. So it is really customer loyalty program, an impressive customer loyalty program. So we have a very strong relationship and confidence relationship with our customers, and well, of course we use all these options, these levers to strengthen our relationship with them, and we also do it with all these partnerships.
Right. So when you say it covers over 85% of Portugal, then it's quite clear that it's a huge success. So from my understanding, are like projects like this managed from within the e-commerce department, or how does that work internally?
Projects like marketplaces, well, in fact, they started and they are managing from the.
In this particular case, the loyalty.
Yes.
Part.
Yes. Well, we have very tight relationships with all of our colleagues, and our company works as a whole and works as a team. So we interact a lot, and we do a lot of this in partnership with other areas of the company. So that's not an issue. When you're a customer, you're relating to Continente. You're not relating to A, B, or C department, A, B, or C. So it has to be clear for you that you're relating with your brand, your banner, your partner for groceries. So it's clear.
Thankfully, I mean, how could it otherwise, given the fact that 85% decided to sign up for it? So it must function in a thriving way. Otherwise, you would have.
Sorry, Jasper. It's not only the 85% of Portuguese households. It's also even the penetration on shopping journeys and on tickets is probably over that figure. So not only people and households have the loyalty program, they have the loyalty card, but they also use it in 9 out of 10 of the purchases they make online or offline. So it's a very widely accepted and very valuable and valued program for our customers.
Right. Okay, awesome. So the fact that e-commerce is a success is quite an understatement, and you guys have been doing it for 20 years. So if it wasn't successful, otherwise it would have obviously been killed a long time ago. Question related to the success though, like to what extent is the post-checkout e-commerce operation important?
Well, it's very important. I mean, by post checkout, I believe that you mean deliveries and contact with the customer, and even returns, contact center, everything that happens afterwards.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it's quite important because it is probably the humanization of the service. Well, the only moment in which you contact some other human is when the delivery colleague gets to your home and delivers the groceries or the goods or whatever. So that is very important in e-commerce, is knowing that you can contact someone, some other person, and that is even more important if you need the confidence to buy, let's say, more expensive products, for instance. You want to make sure that there's another human you can talk to. You can return the product. You can repair the product if something goes wrong. So that's a part of the user experience that we pay a lot of attention in designing that journey from the moment you pay or the moment you check out the website. What happens not only right after, but after a long period of time. If you buy toys at this moment, you want to be able to return them, and you buy for Black Friday, for instance, you want to be able to return those goods in January, not 15 or 30 days from the moment you buy. So you have to design that experience to fit the needs of our customer and give these customers the necessary confidence to buy and to be in that relationship with you. So we have a lot of attention on that.
100%. All right, awesome. So we have one more poll related to basically managing online success. Maria, can you launch this one for us as well? There we go. So the question is, fulfillment and delivery sorry, one more time. A fulfillment and delivery platform is vital for successful quick commerce. Not a statement, it's a question. There's yet again a yes or a no, and we are really wondering what type of answer best relates to you guys. The answers are yes, there's simply too many things to manage to live up to your delivery promise. Yes, staff management is essential to remain profitable, and I wouldn't have that otherwise. Then we get to the no section. No, pen and paper has always worked for me. In between brackets, so I'm sticking to that. Or no, it's another expense for which I struggle to see ROI. Also possible. So please let us know by voting for it, and potentially we can dedicate a section later on to it. So last but not least, and we've been receiving a lot of questions related to this, so that's why we kept it for the last. Always keep the best for last is what they say, right? So the last section is related to quick commerce. And Pedro, I'd like to ask you, Getir entered Portugal last month, and off the top of my head, so did Rocket. How do you personally see these developments?
First of all, it's quite impressive that they find Portugal an interesting company, an interesting country to launch this. It's not quick; it's very quick commerce solutions. And I think there are some very specific shopping missions in which this fits. But I also think that these are this is a very small, tiny part of the shopping missions that we need to achieve, and so I believe that this should be quite a small opportunity in a country like Portugal. That's a personal view, my personal take on that.
Right, that's the country with the most scale. So only time will tell whether it's going to be a successful effort of theirs to move into Portugal. Long story short, with them being there, consider it really a threat or just mature the market in your opinion? What's your take there?
Sorry, Jasper, could you please say it again because I lost you again?
Yeah, do you consider it a threat to Continente or will it mature the market?
I would say that not only Continente, but the competition is fierce. That's a very specific value proposition for a very specific need in which you need some chocolate within the next 10 minutes. So I would say it's probably a different business. It's probably a different value proposition for a different need that we serve.
Gotcha, 100%. Do you generally think there's room for so many digital grocers?
I really don't know. It really depends on how the market will evolve. But I would expect some consolidation within the very near future. Well, consolidation is happening, but I would say that we will have the chance to look at several companies being merged and so on. So I would expect a lot of consolidation on that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that. So it remains to be seen what kind of consolidations and acquisitions we're going to be seeing. Is there one that you can kind of already foresee, or is that really hard to say at this point in time?
Sorry?
Is there one acquisition or consolidation that you can kind of already foresee, or is that really hard to say at this point?
No, not really. And I would love to foresee it. In fact, I do believe that the capacity to foresee the future is the most interesting capacity a human being can have. So I would love to have it.
Yeah, we all seems to be hard to find. A question to finish this session off, given the fact that we only have 3 more minutes. Are there any innovations that you guys are working on internally that you would like to fill the crowd in on?
Well, innovations we're working on are, of course, a secret, and we're working on several. But I can say that we're quite focused on everything that has got that works with intelligence, with the capacity to foresee the future. We do have several personalization features. We have a personalized leaflet, and this is the kind of stream that we believe that will provide more value added for our customers, and that's why we focus a lot. Because as I have been saying, this business is a lot about technology, about fulfillment, logistics, IT, but at the end it's all about customers. And if you don't have customers, if you don't focus on your customers, you have no business. So that's the main target, the main goal, the main vision that we work on every day.
Awesome. That's really good to hear. I'm personally stoked about all of these developments. I love innovation, and I think a lot is going on in the supermarket space at this point in time. So I would like to thank you very much for dropping so many knowledge bombs, Pedro. And obviously, I would be a horrible host if I wasn't going to ask the crowd whether you'd like to learn more about InstaLeap at this point in time. I'm deliberately asking this question right now because I do not want to phone up everyone that attended this webinar right away. I simply want to make sure that we reach out to the right people that want to learn more and avoid therefore being spammy. So fill it out, let us know how you'd like to hear from us. And to finish off this session, Pedro, thank you one more time for participating in the first place.
Thank you very much for having me.
Explaining so much. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Also, thanks, Maria. And on to the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.